Work show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. Hey, I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, February 25th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Well, it's been a very, very busy day, very busy news day. We're going to cover some of those stories going on today. And do you know what today is? Do you know what today is? Today is February 25th. This is the anniversary of Cassius Clay beating Sonny Liston, February 25th, 1964 in Miami. And we know that Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, who then announced that he was changing his name to Muhammad Ali and joining the Nation of Islam, declared himself the greatest of all time. So we'll talk some about that history today as well. And then in the news, we see that the Democrats were dealt a blow by the Senate parliamentarian dealing with the fight for $15 an hour. Okay, the parliamentarian with the fight for $15 an hour. They were dealt a big blow. So we'll talk some about that. Senate ruling says Democrats can't put $15 minimum wage in COVID relief bill. Then also we posted a story this morning from CNN about Donald Trump and his taxes. Donald Trump's taxes for 8 years, his tax returns and other financial information has been turned over to prosecutor Cy Vance in Manhattan. CNN.com has an article about this, as well as NBC News. The Supreme Court this week declined to block a New York grand jury from getting Trump's personal and corporate tax returns. So we talked about that ruling from the Supreme Court. Well, Trump's tax returns have been turned over to Manhattan prosecutor Cy Vance. So it's the beginning of the end for Trump, okay? Because it's a whole lot of information. We're going to find out why he fought tooth and nail to try to keep his tax returns hidden. Okay, we're going to find out, and it's not going to turn out too well for him or his Donald Trump Jr. and probably Ivanka as well. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Then the Capitol Hill riot hearings continue today, and the acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman revealed today that they are still getting information about extremists who want to blow up the U.S. Capitol. Disturbing intelligence suggests far-right extremists could be plotting to attack the U.S. Capitol again when President Joe Biden gives his first address to a joint session of Congress. Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman said today. We're going to talk about that because this deals with why the National Guard has such a heavy presence there at the U.S. Capitol. And then another story that we're going to talk about is I think there's one last story we're going to squeeze in here. We'll talk about Muhammad Ali, and then we'll deal with the extremists as well. Okay, so we'll talk about that and more today on the African History Network show. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of their actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship. relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, to sign up for our email newsletter. You can still register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We had a great class this past Tuesday. Dr. David Imhotep, author of the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, was our guest speaker in the class. So as soon as you register, you can watch the class from this past Tuesday, and you can watch last Tuesday's class also with cultural anthropologist Sister Nubia Wardford. That was a fantastic class as well. We dealt with the origins of ancient Kush and the African queens of antiquity. Okay. And you'll be ready for our Tuesday class on March 2nd. So it's an 8-week, 16-hour online course. It's not too late to register. We do the classes live. All the classes are recorded, so you can go back and watch them over and over again. Okay. And then you'll be ready for class Tuesday, March 2nd, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch from around the world. We also have bonus content. We deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who take the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt into Europe in the Nile Valley region of Africa, to take those teachings into Europe, and this brings Europe out of the Dark Ages. Then we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening in the wars and the conflicts between these Africans and Europeans. All right, so you can we'll post a link here. You can also register at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's on sale, $80, and you can watch from around the world. Okay. All right. So I sent you the clips, Shakita. We're going to go ahead and jump into these stories here. Let's go to. We're going to go to the readout dealing with Senate parliamentarian rules that minimum wage increase cannot be included in COVID relief bill. We'll go to that clip here in just a second. So when we look at, we know that during the presidential campaign and also during the Senate race in Georgia, the fight for $15 an hour was one of the big items on the Democrats' agenda. Okay. And there was a debate over whether or not they would be able to get this pushed, get this voted on in the Senate, because you're going to need whether they could get this voted on in the Senate. Well, a ruling in the Senate on Thursday dealt a severe blow to Democrats' hopes of raising the minimum wage in the COVID-19 relief bill, likely dooming the proposal in the legislation that is headed for a vote in Congress. The Senate parliamentarian, the in-house, who is the in-house referee in the U.S. Senate, ruled that the provision was not compliant with rules governing the budget process that Congress is using to pass the bill with simple majorities, 51 vote, simple majority. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
Breaking news tonight, the Senate parliamentarian has denied Senate Democrats' attempt to include a $15 an hour minimum wage in the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package. It is a huge setback for Democrats who were bullish on the prospect that it would survive. President Biden, a veteran of the Senate, had signaled this could happen, and it's unclear what Democrats will do going forward. The minimum wage increase is currently in the House version of the bill, which is set to hit the floor tomorrow. Joining me now is Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network, and the Reverend has an exclusive interview with Vice President Kamala Harris, which airs Saturday at 5 p.m. on Politics Station right here on MSNBC. First of all, Rev, congratulations on that interview. And, speaking of Vice President Kamala Harris, in theory, she could just overrule the parliamentarian. It's happened before in the past, but we had Ron Klain, the White House chief of staff, on last night, and he indicated that's not something they were willing to do. Where do you think this goes from here?
I have no idea where it will go. I certainly hope that we get the $15 minimum wage in. I think that it is absurd to think that people can survive off of $7 an hour or $11 an hour, given where we look at the economic reality that people have to feed their families. And we have to remember people are also coming out of slowly a pandemic where they have extra needs. So clearly, I think we should do all we can to maintain the $15 an hour wage. I have no idea where it will go, but I know where I think it should go. And whether or not we deal with it in terms of an overrule or not, we must continue to struggle to give people what they need.
Okay, pause right there. All right, we're going to continue this another side of the break. This is an example of how politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement, and how politics impacts every aspect of our lives. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. We'll be back in just a minute here. We're back in 3 minutes. All right. Everybody share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by. Okay, stand by, everybody. All right. How's everybody doing? Okay, share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question, quick question or comment. All right, stand by. All right, back from break in 1 minute. Okay, stand by. We've got back from break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, February 25th, 2021, and we're live. Hope everybody's doing well. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. And just a couple of historical facts about 910 AM Superstation. It was founded in 1922. It's the oldest radio station in Detroit. There were no refrigerators, only ice boxes in 1922. No cheeseburgers, no drive-throughs, no power steering for cars. There was no Ambassador Bridge, no TV. There was no Detroit Lions or Detroit Red Wings when 9:10 a.m. went on the air in 1922. Some people will argue there's no Detroit Lions now. I'd be one of those that argue. I don't know why you waste your time watching the Lions, but maybe you're a glutton for punishment. Who knows? But anyway, so I mean, but I'm the same guy. I haven't watched the NFL game since Colin Kaepernick played his last NFL game. So what do I care? I don't even watch the Super Bowl. But anyway, okay. So right before the break, we were talking about Democrats in the Senate being dealt a blow when it comes to the fight for $15 an hour. Now we know the federal minimum wage has not been changed in 12 years. It's $7.25 an hour. $7.25 an hour is the federal minimum wage. Okay. Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said, quote, "We are deeply disappointed in this decision. We are not going to give up the fight to raise the minimum wage to $15 to help millions of struggling American workers and their families. The American people deserve it, and we are committed to making it a reality." Now, the so-called Byrd Rule, B-Y-R-D, Byrd Rule, limits acceptable provisions in the reconciliation process to taxing and spending. Democrats can still try to pass a wage hike, raising the federal minimum wage through regular order, but that would require 60 Senate votes, which all but assures failure due to a lack of Republican support. You don't have 60 votes in the Senate to support raising the federal minimum wage because you have a lot of obstructionist Republicans that don't care. Now, this will benefit a lot of their constituents and to benefit a lot of poor people, poor white people that keep voting for Republicans. But the Republicans are not going to do this. Now, Senator Spineless Lindsey Graham, Republican from South Carolina, the ranking Republican on the Budget Committee, praised the referee's ruling. He said, quote, "Very pleased the Senate parliamentarian has ruled that a minimum wage increase is an inappropriate policy change in reconciliation." Now, Lindsey Graham is from South Carolina. That's one of the poorest states in the country. South Carolina is also where the Civil War started. So it makes sense they vote a dumbass like Lindsey Graham back into the Senate. But this decision, he said, this decision reinforces reconciliation cannot be used as a vehicle to pass major legislation change by either party on a simple majority vote. This decision will, over time, reinforce the traditions of the Senate. Do the traditions of the Senate, Lindsey Graham, include you trying to aid and abet a traitor to the country who incited the insurrection? Is that part of the help me out with this? Is that part of the tradition of the Senate also? I'm just curious. Now, Democrats led by Senate budget. Now, no, so we have to understand when the founding fathers, or as Dr. Francis Cress Wilson called them, the fondling fathers, when they drafted the U.S. Constitution, they put checks and balances in place. They never thought that you would have traitors in the Senate who would side with a traitorous, corrupt president, because the Senate is supposed to be a check on the president. Not only is the Senate a check on the president, but when you go study this, for the first 124 years, people did not vote for U.S. senators. Did you know this? Originally, U.S. senators were appointed by the state legislature, and they served a 10-year term. Originally, you did not even vote for U.S. senator, because the Senate, which is the upper chamber of the legislative branch of the federal government, their job was so important because they were the ones who voted to remove a president from office. And so because they had that monumental task, is not the House of Representatives. The House votes on articles of impeachment, but the trial is held in the Senate. So to shield senators from having to run for re-election, to shield them from public pressure when it comes to trying to decide whether or not to remove a president from office, for the first 124 years, you didn't even vote for U.S. senators. They were appointed by the state legislature. They never thought in their wildest dreams that you would have a Senate so corrupt that they would not hold the president accountable. The other thing is, is that when the Constitution was written, you did not have political parties as well. You didn't have political parties. People like George Washington, they were against political parties because it caused division. They never in their wildest dreams would think that you would have a Senate that was so cowardly. They would aid and abet a traitor to the country who tried to overthrow the government. But, you know, this is what happens when you don't understand history. So let's continue. So Democrats led by Senate Budget Committee Chair Bernie Sanders. And if you go to senate.gov, senate.gov is the official website of the Senate, they have a history section there. Read the history. They deal with the whole history of the U.S. Senate. Check that out. Democrats led by Senate Budget Committee Chair Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont. Didn't Bernie Sanders become a Democrat when he ran for president again? I can't keep up. Is Bernie a Democrat or independent? Which one is it? Make up your mind. Because when he ran for president in 2016, he was a Democrat. Then he went back to the Senate and he became an independent. Then he ran again in 2020 for he's a Democrat again. Okay, now he's back an independent. I can't keep up. Which one is it? I like Bernie, but make up your mind. You know, is he doing the political hokey pokey? I mean, what is he doing? You put your left foot in, you take your left foot out. You put your left foot in, then you shake it all about. Okay, you know, I have a 4-year-old daughter. So Bernie Sanders said he strongly disagreed with the ruling and suggested another way to incentivize a wage hike through the budget process. Okay. He said, quote, "In the coming days, I will be working with my colleagues in the Senate to move forward with an amendment to take tax deductions away from large profitable corporations that don't pay workers at least $15 an hour and to provide small businesses with the incentives they need to raise wages." Okay, he said in the statement that amendment must be included in this reconciliation bill. All right, so we need to study the rules of the Senate. You're dealing with some real procedural issues. Dealing with the Senate, go to senate.gov. We need to study the rules of the Senate. And see, this is what I'm trying to explain to all the people. Reparations now. Most of these people can't tell you how to get a damn bill passed in the Senate. They can't tell you how to get around unanimous consent in the Senate. Because Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, who was at the Capitol Hill riot at one of the hearings in the past couple of days, he's up there spouting all these idiotic conspiracy theories. Okay. He blocked the Juneteenth bill. I think it was in 2020, the Juneteenth bill that was co-sponsored by Senator Kamala Harris and Senator Cory Booker. He blocked the Juneteenth bill in the Senate using the unanimous consent rule. Okay. If you can't get a bill passed in the Senate to make Juneteenth a federal holiday and give white people the day off from work, how the hell you get a bill passed in the Senate to pay out trillions of dollars in reparations or whatever number you want to slap on it this week? How do you do that? Nobody wants to answer this question. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, another idiot. Senator Rand Paul blocked the anti-lynching bill in the Senate using the unanimous consent rule. Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee blocked 3 election integrity bills in the Senate using the unanimous consent rule. Then they wanted to claim all this voter fraud. Well, maybe if your dumb ass didn't vote, but maybe if you didn't block 3 election integrity bills in the Senate, you wouldn't have to talk about voter fraud or widespread voter fraud. But at the same time, there was only one candidate that told his people to vote twice, and that was Trump. This was the same people that want to scream voter fraud. The guy that you trying to support told his people to vote twice. Or did you forget about that? You have a Romnesia like Mitt Romney had back in 2012. You got Romnesia. So you know you have a lot of Republicans up for re-election in the Senate in 2022. we have to clean house. These traitors have to, if we allow these traitors to stay in office, then we deserve whatever happens. I'm telling you, and these are some of the biggest hypocrites. These Republicans, some of the biggest hypocrites. Some of the, Hillary Clinton was right when she said she referred to half of Donald Trump supporters as a basket of deplorables. I think it's more than half, but she was correct. It's a basket of deplorables. People like Senator Ron Johnson. Now, and then spineless Ted Cruz, flying lion Ted Cruz. These people, we have to redistribute the pain at the ballot box, because these are the people who are blocking bills that are beneficial to African Americans. So, because you have, and then, so we've talked about how there are 106 bills in state legislatures across the country that Republicans are pushing. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to put all these new restrictions on voting rights, especially in Georgia. Okay. And then I saw yesterday on MSNBC, I saw Wednesday on MSNBC. Now it's about 256 bills in state legislatures all across the country. New bills that Republicans are proposing and trying to get passed to limit early voting, and how many weeks you can do early voting, to limit mail-in ballots and who can get mail-in ballots, because mail-in ballots were huge in the 2020 election because of coronavirus, COVID-19, but COVID-19 was mishandled by Donald Trump, which caused an increase in the need for mail-in ballots. In 2021 legislative sessions, lawmakers in 28 states have pushed a whopping 106 bills that would restrict voting access. Once again, the same people cheering not being able to give a living wage to the working poor, and most of these Republicans in the Senate are millionaires, and many of the Democrats are millionaires too, but at least they're supporting $15 an hour. But they're making $170,000 plus a year. A new report from the Brennan Center for Justice shows just how effectively Republicans have been talking out of both sides of their mouths, at once decrying the violence over false allegations of election rigging, and at the same time using false allegations of voter fraud to make it harder for people to vote. Out of one side of the mouth, they're decrying the violence over false allegations of election rigging. And then the other side of their mouth, they're using false allegations of voter fraud to make it harder for people to vote. In 2021 legislative sessions, which 6 states had, well, this article is a little old, so that doesn't apply. But in 2021 legislative sessions, lawmakers in 28 states have pushed a whopping 106 bills that will restrict voting rights. Okay. So read this bill, and there's some updated information also. Okay. This is from, read this article. This is from theguardian.com. This is from January 30th, 2021. So this is the game. This is the game that they're playing. And they're coming for us in 2022 midterm elections. They're trying to take back Reverend Raphael Warnock's Senate seat in Georgia. In 2024, they're trying to stop Stacey Abrams from winning the governorship in Georgia. They're going to try to take back the U.S. Senate in the 2022 midterm elections, and take back the House of Representatives. All right. Then Washington Post has an article also: minimum wage increase imperiled in COVID relief bill by Senate officials ruling. Now, see, the crazy thing about this is raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, it's not $15 an hour overnight. It'll increase by $1 per year Okay, so by 2025, because the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour right now. It was raised from something like $5.25 an hour. The last time it was raised, it was because Democrats raised the federal minimum wage when they had control of the House and the Senate. It's been 12 years since the federal minimum wage has been raised. And then you look at who's trying to stop it from being raised right now, who's speaking out against it. It's Republicans. But Kentucky, one of the poorest states in the country, Mitch McConnell, South Carolina, one of the poorest states in the country, Alabama, one of the poorest states in the country. $15 an hour will help these white people that keep voting for Republicans that keep screwing them over. Alabama has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. Raising the federal minimum wage in Alabama will help a lot of poor white people that just voted for this dumbass named Tommy Tuberville, who couldn't even name the 3 branches of government. And he's a senator. He's a U.S. senator. He couldn't even name the 3 branches of government. Let's move on. Okay, next story here. Which one we're going to go to next? Speaking of traitors, let's go to the Capitol Hill story. Let's see, Shakita, we're going to go to clip number. Which clip is that? Hold on. Yeah, clip number 2. Acting Capitol Police Chief warns of threats to blow up the Capitol when Biden addresses Congress. Now, so cue that one up for me. Disturbing intelligence suggests far-right extremists could be plotting to attack the U.S. Capitol when President Joe Biden gives his first address to a joint session of Congress. Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman said today. So I watched some of the hearing today, and I heard her say it. I watched it live. Okay, and I knew they were continuing to get threats, credible threats. That's why you have a heavy presence of the National Guard there at the U.S. Capitol. Okay, now they need to stay there as long as you need it, because you got some crazy ass white supremacists in the House as Republicans in the House of Representatives. You need them there for the domestic terrorists outside of the Capitol and the domestic terrorists inside the Capitol. So the National Guard needs to stay there as long as they need to stay there. It is what it is. Quote, we know that members of the militia groups that were present on January 6th have stated their desires that they want to blow up the Capitol and kill as many members as possible. Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman said she testified under oath before a House Appropriations Committee hearing. Acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman noted that no date has been set yet for Joe Biden's address. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
Right, lawmakers were not happy with what they heard today as they tried to untangle the botched security response during the January 6th attack on the Capitol 2 days ago. Appearing before the Senate, it was mostly ousted officials who were in charge of security that day. Today, before the House, it was the current officials who are in charge, and there was this chilling warning from the acting chief of the Capitol Police.
We know that members of the militia groups that were present on January 6th have stated their desires that they want to blow up the Capitol and kill as many members as possible with a direct nexus to the State of the Union, which we know that date has not been identified. So based on that information, we think that it's prudent that Capitol Police maintain its enhanced and robust security posture until we address those vulnerabilities going forward.
Joining me now is NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Garrett Haake and General Joseph Langell, the former chief of the National Guard Bureau. So, Garrett, that's a chilling warning that there are people out there that are wanting to, potentially planning, to blow up the Capitol, kill as many lawmakers as possible. What was the reaction when she testified?
Well, look, lawmakers were really frustrated by the first hearing that happened earlier in the week and by the lack of information that they've been getting up until this point on the response to January 6th. And that answer came as lawmakers have been asking, what's up with these fences? Why do we still have 8-foot-high fences topped with razor wire and hundreds of National Guardsmen around the Capitol? That's a pretty good indication of why that security is still here and a suggestion of how long it might stay. The lawmakers were also frustrated at lots of the little operational failings that we essentially learned about that contributed to January 6th, like that the officers didn't really know how to clear the space when there was an infiltration, that they weren't sure what the use of force rules were, at least as regarded to deadly force. Lots of little things like that now the current leadership in the form of that acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief is going to have to clean up ahead of that speech to a joint session of Congress, not technically a State of the Union, but potentially the next big event on the Capitol that at least the intelligence that they are now listening very closely to suggests might draw any kind of major crowd, protest, or possible violence.
Okay, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Now, how should I say this? So this doesn't sound crazy, but look what you're dealing with. So I don't know how to say it, but acting Capitol Police Chief Yogananda Pittman. Okay, now I understand she was, from my understanding, she was second in command. So Stephen's son stepped down, he resigned. So she's the acting Capitol Police Chief. And Garrett Haake, he just said that this is something she's gonna have to clean up. Isn't it? Isn't it strange how we always got to clean up other people's sugar honey iced tea? I just find it interesting. The sister got to clean this mess up. I mean, this is something she has to clean up. Okay, from white supremacist domestic terrorists, this is something she has to deal with because the white guy resigned. Now I know that if I remember correctly, I think and we know the sergeant at arms of the House and Senate resigned. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer of the Senate, they asked for them to resign. I understand this, but it's just interesting how African Americans got to clean up this stuff from these crazy ass domestic terrorists and all this stuff. And we've been telling y'all about crazy ass white people for years, and you didn't want to listen. Now we got to clean this stuff up. Do we at least get a pay raise? I mean, now, so, African American women make about 67% on the dollar, 67 cents on the dollar that the average white male makes. Did she get 100%, 100 cents on the dollar, or she still? Oh, come on. So I'm sitting, because I was sitting there watching the hearing today, and she dropped that bomb on him. I'm like, okay, all right, you got Marjorie Taylor Greene still in the House acting a damn fool, still in the House of Representatives acting a fool. And you just sit back and look at this, and well, okay, anyway, but you sit back and you look at people trying to, like Senator Ron Johnson, trying to say it was fake Trump supporters who were the main insurrectionists at the Capitol. You sit here and you look at people who are in the Senate, Republicans in the Senate, just lying and twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to justify what's unjustifiable. Trying to justify what's unjustifiable. See, this is why these traitors have to be voted out of office. I'm sorry. You have to. You cannot allow these are the people who vote on bills. These are going to be the people that vote on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. These are going to be the people that vote on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. These traitors have to be voted out of office. All right. Now, speaking of traitors, Donald Trump's taxes fell into the hands of Cy Vance today. He was sitting there like a wide receiver, just waiting for them to fall in his hand. I like to see Trump's face when he. No, I really don't want to see his face, but I like to see his face when the news broke that Manhattan prosecutor Cy Vance has 8 years worth of Donald Trump's taxes. Okay. I mean, they're gonna teach, in accounting and law schools, and when they teach classes about corruption and fraud and all this stuff, because like in business school, we study fraud. We have to study fraud. We have to take a class on social ethics. Man, they're gonna use Trump as a textbook. They're gonna use them in CPA classes. They're gonna use them in law classes. They're gonna use, okay, look, whatever you do, don't do what this fool over here did. Number 1 through 50. Don't do none of this stuff here. Okay, because you're gonna end up in prison. All right. When they're gonna use him as a textbook. Okay, it's gonna be a whole textbook about the Donald Trump years. Okay. Do not do this. Whatever you do, don't try this at home, because you're going to prison. All right. All right, Shakita, look, we're gonna go to this. We'll go to this clip here dealing with Trump's taxes. What is this one here? Manhattan District Attorney. This is from Hallie Jackson, MSNBC. Manhattan District Attorney obtains Trump's tax returns. Let's go to this clip. Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance has obtained copies of former President Trump's tax returns after a Supreme Court decision allowed them to be turned over earlier this week. Take it off of mute and re-rack it.
Manhattan District Attorney now is in possession of former President Donald Trump's tax returns and some other financial documents as well. Let me bring in NBC's Tom Winter, who is joining us now on the phone. Tom, not a total shock, because we knew after the breaking news on this show Monday with that Supreme Court decision that this was now a question of when, not if. So what more are you learning?
Well, that's perfectly put, Hallie, and it was a question of when and not if, and the when was pretty quick in this case. So basically, shortly after the Supreme Court decision or lack of decision, and that they were not going to stop the grand jury here in New York City from getting these tax returns, but perhaps much more importantly, the underlying tax documents, the subpoena was able to be enforced, and so those records are now in the hands of Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance. I think going forward here, what's important for people to know is that while Vance's office, and they've done a lot of staffing up, hiring former federal prosecutors that are very familiar with these types of cases, hiring a forensic accounting firm, while they will move quickly, these are very complex cases. They're very difficult to organize. They're very difficult to construct. And then you've got to find out what, if anything, is illegal, and then figure out how you might want to prosecute that. They are not simple one-off cases. And we're talking about the volume of records that exist in this case when we're talking about the length of time, almost 10 years that are being examined, but perhaps further back. When we look at all those things, it's a difficult case to try to arrange and organize. So in speaking with former prosecutors, they're going to have to establish a timeline. What did the president and the Trump organization and those working for him present to banks at the same time that they were presenting information information to tax authorities like the state of New York? Was there a discrepancy between those two? If so, is something provably false? Is our own colleague and analyst and former U.S. Attorney Chuck Rosenberg says, you can't just hold up these tax documents and say, okay, they presented this one thing to a bank and they presented this thing in the tax returns. There are two different numbers here, and so one of them must be false. You can convict whoever they happen to charge. That's not how this works. So they really need to delve into the numbers, understand it, and I think it's going to be some time here, Hallie, before we hear if there are any charging decisions. And then, of course, we won't even get to see any of these documents until this case goes to trial, if it ever does.
Real quick timeline question: Is Cy-Vance up against the clock here or anything?
Well, that's an interesting question, and I think over the next couple of days and weeks, or perhaps even longer than that, we'll hear how they are able to deal with the statute of limitations concerns. I think they have some thoughts on that. I'll leave it there for now, but I think that there are there'll be some interesting developments in due time.
Okay, so that is from MSNBC from this morning. Manhattan District Attorney obtains Trump's tax returns. If we look at this article from CNN.com, we posted this today, got 1,600 likes. A lot of people are laughing. Trump's tax returns and related records turned over to Manhattan District Attorney, February 25th, 2021. You all remember the commercials from Southwest Airlines, Want to Get Away? You know, and they had somebody there in an embarrassing situation, want to get away. I think that's Trump right now. That explains Trump right now. You remember the song from Hustle and Flow? It's hard out here for a pimp. That describes Trump right now. It's hard out here for a pimp. So tax records that former President Donald Trump tried to keep secret for years are now in the hands of the New York District Attorney. Prosecutors obtained the records on Monday, just hours after the U.S. Supreme Court denied Trump's last-ditch effort to keep the records private. A spokesperson for the district attorney said the millions of pages of documents sources say contain Trump's tax records spanning from January 2011 to August 2019, as well as financial statements, engagement agreements, documents relating to the preparation and review of tax returns and work papers, and communications related to the tax returns. Though the documents handed off from Trump's longtime accounting firm Mazars won't be released to the public because they're subject to grand jury secrecy, their delivery caps off an extraordinary 17-month quest by Donald Trump and his lawyers to block investigators from obtaining the records. Read the rest of this article here. Sit down when you read it. It's a good read. It's a good laugh too. He ain't gonna run for president again. I'm trying to tell you right now. He can stand out there. He's gonna be at CPAC this weekend. He can talk all that stuff. When this stuff drips out and all the corruption and all the fraud from the taxes, he ain't gonna run for re-election again. He could try. He may file papers. People gonna say, no, release the rest of your taxes. He gonna say, I'm under audit. Yeah, we know you're under audit because we saw that fraud over here. But you can't run again and say you're under audit. Why don't you release the years that are not under audit? Release the years from the 80s. Release the years from the 90s. Release the years from 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. Why don't you release the years? Release 20, 30 years that are not under audit. He's not running again. Speaking of running, we have to run. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting. Right Now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Stay tuned for Pastor Greg Davis. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Peace. All right, stand by. Let's keep going. Let's deal with Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time. So, all right, if you'd like this type of information, also you can donate to the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Okay, so February 25th, 1964. A young Cassius Clay, 22 years old, never beaten, goes up against big bad Sonny Liston. He was a big underdog, and he ended up beating Sonny Liston. And we know that the story, One Night in Miami, is about that night celebrating Ali's victory. Okay, so this took place February 24th, 1964, February 24th, 1964. Muhammad Ali beats Cassius Clay beats Sonny Liston because he hadn't changed his name yet, actually to Muhammad Ali. All right. So I posted some pictures today about this, and we posted some articles also. You see, I'm a big Ali fan. I have my Muhammad Ali shirt on, the greatest. You see, I have my Muhammad Ali shirt on, and then you see the pictures of Muhammad Ali behind me. I've got documentaries on Ali. He's the greatest of all time. All right. So history.com has a good article dealing with this. And I did a Facebook post today and posted some pictures and things like this of Ali. We're going to bring this one up here. Okay, let's flip over here. And then I've got a good video clip. Okay, that's a small picture. You don't want that one. Let's see. I think we have another bigger one. All right, well, we'll have to go with this one here because he shook up the world. So Ali was a big underdog. Okay, a lot of people looked at him as the Louisville Lip, which was his moniker. They looked at him as he was thinner than, he didn't weigh as much as Sonny Liston. Liston was looked at as basically as invincible. I want to go to this clip here. And this gives a build up to the fight. And it deals with the training and things like this leading up to the fight. So on February 25th, 1964, 22-year-old Cassius Clay shocks the odd makers by dethroning world heavyweight boxing champ Sonny Liston. And let's cue this clip up here. He beat Sonny Liston in a 7th round technical knockout. Okay. So Liston was so beat he didn't come out for the 7th round. He just stayed there on the stool. Didn't come out for the 7th round. The dreaded Sonny Liston, who had twice demolished former champ Floyd Patterson in 1 round, beat the hell out of Floyd Patterson, was an 8-1 favorite. Cassius Clay was an underdog. However, Muhammad Ali predicted victory, boasting that he would float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, and knock out Sonny Liston in the 8th round. The fleet-footed and loquacious youngster, who would later become known as Muhammad Ali, needed less time to make good on his claim. Sonny Liston, complaining of an injured shoulder, failed to answer the 7th round bell. A few moments later, a new heavyweight champion was proclaimed. Cassius Marsalis Clay Jr. was his birth name. He was named after a famous white abolitionist there in Kentucky. He was born in Louisville, Kentucky in 1942. He started boxing when he was 12 years old, and by age 18 had amassed a record of over 100 wins in amateur competition. In 1959, he won the International Golden Gloves heavyweight title, and in 1960, a gold medal in the light heavyweight category at the Summer Olympic Games in Rome. Cassius Clay turned professional after the Olympics and went undefeated in his first 19 bouts, earning him the right to challenge Sonny Liston, who had defeated Floyd Patterson in 1962 to win the heavyweight title. So let's go to the, I want to go to this clip here dealing with the lead up to the fight. Let's go to this clip.
Clay had won the Olympic gold medal in 1960. 4 years later, he challenged Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship of the world.
You tell that to your camera, your TV man, your radio man, and you right there in the whole world. If Sonny Liston wants me, I'll tell him he's the greatest and get the next guy out of the country.
Liston was considered a devastating heavyweight. He had won the title with a first-round knockout.
I'm for real, man. I'm for real. Man, I don't get hit. I'm the fastest thing on 2 feet, man. Are you crazy?
I thought Liston would absolutely take this kid apart and just kill him. I mean, Liston was an absolute thug.
His background was clouded by prison time and alleged links to organized crime. His public image was intimidating. He clearly preferred to let his actions in the ring do the talking.
Could you make a serious prediction of how far you think the fight's going to go, Sonny?
And if my way can't talk, I'm going to kill him.
Heavyweight champion Sonny Liston, already being compared with all-time greats Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis, goes into training to dispense with the Louisville Lip. Liston's an 8-1 favorite, and many experts think that's giving Clay the benefit of the doubt.
I'm young, I'm handsome, I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat.
But you won't be after I finish with you.
If you like to lose your money, be a fool and bet on Sonny.
The media loved Clay's antics, but didn't like his chances in the ring.
Cassius, can I ask you how you're feeling now at this point of your training?
I'm feeling great. I'm ready to go to war right now.
Well, when you say you're ready to go to war right now...
I see that guy on the street, I'll beat him before the fight.
You'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy.
I saw Sonny Liston a few days ago, Cassius.
Ain't he ugly? He's too ugly to be the world's champ. The world's champ should be pretty like me.
Well, he told me to bet my life that you wouldn't go 3 rounds.
Well, if you want to lose your money, then bet on Sunday. I'll never lose a fight. It's impossible. Tell him. It's impossible.
Never lost a fight in your life.
Ask any of my fans when was the last time they lost. I'm too fast.
Champion from
I'm the king. Born the champ. I'm not only a fighter. I'm a poet. I'm a prophet. I'm the resurrector. I'm the savior of the boxing world. If it wasn't for me, the game would be dead.
What percentage of the fans who are coming to see you fight Sonny Liston, what percentage of the fans do you feel will be coming to see him, and what percentage do you feel will be coming to see you?
Well, 100% will be coming to see me, but 99% will be coming to see me get beat.
Do you really feel that?
Because they think I talk too much. But I got these.
And they represent your thinking?
These represent dynamite. There he is.
An unheard of thing happened at the Main Street Gym in Miami. Challenger Cassius invaded while Liston was training.
Sonny might be great, but he will leave in 8. If he want to go to heaven, I'll get him in 7. He'll be in a worse fix if I cut it to 6. If he keeps talking jive, he'll go in 5. If he keeps talking about me, I'll get him in 3. If that don't do, he'll fall in 2. And if he run, he'll go in 1. And if he don't want to fight, he should keep himself home that night. People do say I'm cocky. Some say I need a good whipping. Some say I talk too much. But anything that I say, I'm willing to back up. Yeah, I wish him a happy new year because he's going to need happiness after I annihilate him because I'm going to beat him so bad, he's going to think he robbed the bank.
Cassius, how do you feel today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I hear you met Don Juan today. How was he?
Yeah. He wasn't too friendly.
Remember, the greatest fighter that ever lived.
Okay, so this is Angelo Dundee, Ali's longtime trainer.
in and out of the ring. He changed the whole innovation of boxing. He was the first available superstar.
Oh, I thought he was a very promising heavyweight at the time. I had no dreaming idea that he could win that fight.
Now, this is Edwin Pope of the Miami Herald newspaper, a journalist for the Miami Herald newspaper.
I didn't give him a chance in hell.
Let's get it on. Want to go now?
So this is at a press conference before the fight. They're both there in suits, right? This is a famous press conference.
He thought he was crazy.
And then the weigh-in.
And Sonny, I don't know, he had a violent side to him that everybody knew about, you know, but Cassius was smart.
Now, this is Milt Blankley, who was Sonny Liston's corner man.
He thought he was crazy. And Sonny, I don't know, he had a violent side to him.
Milt Bailey, Sonny Liston's corner man, Milt Bailey.
Everybody knew about, you know, but Cassius was smart and he was clever. And he could get under Liston's skin more so than anybody ever knew, you know.
Liston didn't know what to expect, what came into play there. Tough guys are afraid of guys that are a little goofy, you know, guys fly over the cuckoo's nest. No, those kind of guys. Tough guys don't know where to go with that. And he was a tough guy, Liston. So Liston's kind of looking at him like this, and then he's screaming and he's hollering. Dr. Robbins taking his blood pressure. Angelo, your guy's scared to death. This guy's scared to death. He's scared. I ain't gonna make the fight go on. And I'm listening to the guy. I said, he's only playing. He's only playing. I'm saying, we're having a little fun here.
Clay said later, he said anybody would have to be afraid of a crazy man. And that's why I was acting crazy.
For nearly 9,000 people, including celebrities from sports and show business, filled Convention Hall on the evening of February 25th. Millions more watched closed-circuit television in movie theaters around the world. And just before 10 p.m. Eastern Time, Cassius Clay and his entourage made their way to the ring, to be followed by Sonny Liston.
There we see the front right arm, the world champion, Sonny Liston, in his entourage. Sonny with that hooded robe, heavyweight champion with ropes being spread apart, bounces in, calm, cool, collected, and we're on the opposite corner of Sonny Liston. We see at this point the challenger Cassius Marcellus Clay, 22 years of age, unbeaten. 15 rounds for the heavyweight championship of the world. Cassius Clay on the move as we see, looking to get Sonny to lunge, carrying his left hand dangerously low.
All right, hold on. Let me advance this here. Okay.
He has a cut below the eye, and he's getting hit with all the punches in the book. The crowd now cheering the challenger.
Cassius Clay, peripheral vision, sharp. He's looking over my shoulder. They
might be stopping it. That might be all, ladies and gentlemen. Get up there, Joe. Get up there. Get up in the ring.
Clay had won. We were stunned, disbelieving. Only Clay clearly understood that he was the heavyweight champion of the world. And he took his time to tell the newsmen at ringside that they had been wrong, all of them.
I was so stunned. I was just electrified. And there he was right in front of me and a whole bunch of other newspaper men pointing down to us like this. I told you exactly what I was going to do. Well, we were just sitting there stunned. We didn't even know which key to hit first.
Come here. I'm the greatest thing that ever lived. I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world. Wait a minute, Cassius. Let me ask you this now. You told me when you visited in Los Angeles you could do it in 8. You did it in 7. I had him going in 8. I was getting ready to take him in the 8th, as you can see. I say, now, give us that poetry on number 7. He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him in 7. You took him in 7. I am the king of the world. Hold it. You're Come on, man. I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I think so. All right, tell us this. All right.
All right, so that is from February 25th, 1964, Miami. Cassius Clay, 8-1 underdog, defeated Big Bad Sonny Liston. Then they fought again late 64, and Ali beat Liston again. Okay, so let's continue with this. Let me pull up this other one here. We'll go back to this other picture. I shook up the world. Okay, so on February 25th, 1964, a crowd of 8,300 spectators gathered at the Convention Hall Arena in Miami Beach to see if Cassius Clay, who was nicknamed the Louisville Lip, could put his money where his mouth was. The underdog proved no bragging fraud, and he danced and backpedaled away from Liston's powerful swings while delivering quick and punishing jabs to Liston's head. Liston hurt his shoulder in the first round, injuring some muscles as he swung for and missed his elusive target, Cassius Clay. By the time he decided to discontinue the bout between the 6th and 7th rounds, he and Cassius Clay were about equal in points. A few conjectured that Liston faked the injury and threw the fight, but there was no real evidence, such as a significant change in bidding odds just before the bout, to support this claim. To celebrate winning the world heavyweight title, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali went to a private party at a Miami hotel that was attended by his friend Malcolm X, an outspoken leader of the African-American Muslim group known as the Nation of Islam. So we've seen the movie directed by Regina King, One Night in Miami, and it's about the night celebrating Muhammad Ali's victory. And it's Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, and Malcolm X in a hotel room with no women. Okay, so because Jim Brown and Sam Cooke is like, he said, what kind of party is this? There's no women here. It's just us. They were in Malcolm's room. Okay, they were in Malcolm X's room, and you all have seen the broadcast I did about One Night in Miami. We're gonna re-air that one. I'm gonna go through and edit that. We're gonna re-air that one. It's a lot of history. It's a lot of history in that movie. So it was. I'm gonna go through and watch One Night in Miami again. Malcolm's room was room number 245. Room 245. Okay, at the hotel. And it was a hotel that was a segregated hotel that Malcolm stayed at. Malcolm didn't want to stay at a hotel owned by white people. He stayed at a hotel owned by African Americans. All right. So 2 days later, a markedly more restrained Cassius Clay announced he was joining the Nation of Islam and defended the organization's concept of separation, racial separation, while speaking of the importance of the Muslim religion in his life. Later that year, Muhammad Ali, who was the descendant of a formerly enslaved person, rejected the name Cassius Clay given to his family by the owner of enslaved peoples and took the Muslim name of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali will go on to become one of the 20th century's greatest sporting figures. Now, he was named Athlete of the Year by Sports Illustrated. As much for his social and political influence as his prowess in his chosen sport. After successfully defending his title 9 times, It was stripped from him in 1967 after he refused to be inducted into the U.S. Army. That was late April 67. He refused to be inducted into the U.S. Army on the grounds that he was a Muslim minister and therefore a conscientious objector to the Vietnam War. That year, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for violating the Selective Service Act, but was allowed to remain free as he appealed the decision. His popularity plummeted, but many across the world applauded his bold stand against the Vietnam War. In 1970, Muhammad Ali was allowed to return to the boxing ring, and the next year, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Ali's draft evasion conviction. In 1974, he regained his heavyweight title in a match against George Foreman and Zaire, the Rumble in the Jungle, okay, which was renamed the Rope-a-Dope, and successfully defended it in a brutal 15-round contest against Joe Frazier in the Philippines. In the following year, in 1978, he lost the title to Leon Spinks, but later that year defeated Spinks in a rematch. And we know Leon Spinks just recently passed away, making him the first boxer to win the heavyweight title 3 times. Ali retired in 1979, but returned to the ring twice in the early 1980s. In 1984, Ali was diagnosed with pugilistic Parkinson's syndrome and had suffered a slow decline of his motor functions ever since. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1990. In 1996, he lit the Olympic flame at the opening ceremonies of the Summer Games in Atlanta, Georgia. Ali's daughter, Layla Ali, made her boxing debut in 1999. We know she became a champion also. At a White House ceremony in November 2005, Ali was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and he passed away on June 3rd, 2016, after a period of failing health. So we pay homage and honor Muhammad Ali, the greatest of all time, who shook up the world on February 25th, 1964. All right. Hey, if you'd like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network. You can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, and also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. If you donate through Cash App, be sure to type in $ the AHN Show, SHOW, $ the AHN Show, SHOW. And then they come up, it'll say Michael, and it has my picture there from being in the radio station studio. Okay. And also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Now, you can still register for the online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is an 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history and what led to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We do the classes live Tuesdays, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do them live. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have video clips, book references, articles, etc. But you can, all the sessions are recorded as well. So you can go back and watch them over and over again. If you miss anything, you can watch from around the world. Okay. So the class is on sale, $80. It's an 8-week, 16-hour online course, and there's bonus content also for you to watch. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Rest in peace, champ. And we'll talk to you all tomorrow night. Peace.